Welcome back to the English Academy. Today, we are talking about a name that suddenly became one of the most interesting names in Marvel. Her name is Maya Boyd. And if you are a Marvel fan, you probably already know why her name is trending today. Marvel Studios has officially announced the cast of its upcoming X-Men movie. And among the biggest announcements was Maya Boyd as Storm, also known as Ororo Munroe. Yes. The powerful mutant who can control the weather. The character who can create powerful winds, lightning, rain, and massive storms. The character who has been an important part of the X-Men universe for decades. And now, a relatively young actress from the world of Broadway is stepping into one of Marvel's most recognizable roles. That is a huge moment. But the interesting question is, who exactly is Maya Boyd? And how did she go from performing on Broadway to becoming Marvel's new Storm? Let's take a closer look. Maya Boyd's story is interesting because she did not begin her career as a major Hollywood movie star. Her background is strongly connected to musical theater. She studied musical theater at the University of Michigan, where she earned a BFA in musical theater. Her training included acting, singing, and dance. And her resume shows just how seriously she trained as a performer. She studied different forms of dance, including ballet, jazz, tap, hip-hop, ballroom, and more. She also trained in acting and other performance skills. That kind of training may not sound directly connected to becoming a superhero. But it can be extremely valuable. Because a superhero performance is not only about special effects. It is also about presence. It is about movement. It is about voice. It is about confidence. And it is about making an audience believe that the character standing in front of them is real. Maya was developing those skills long before Marvel came calling. Her professional Broadway journey became especially important when she joined Merrily We Roll Along. The Broadway production opened in 2023 and featured major theater stars including Daniel Radcliffe, Jonathan Groff, and Lindsay Mendez. Maya was part of that production. She performed as an ensemble member and also served as an understudy. And that understudy experience was not simple. In fact, Maya later explained that she was an onstage swing in the production. That meant she had to perform her own track while also learning multiple other roles that she could step into when needed. Think about the level of preparation required. You cannot simply memorize one character. You have to understand different roles, different movements, different entrances, different scenes, different changes. And if another performer cannot go on, you may have to step into that role with very little notice. Maya described this experience as difficult, but also extremely rewarding. She said that learning multiple roles improved her memory and helped her become better at developing characters. That experience matters. Because Broadway teaches performers something that is very difficult to learn anywhere else. You have to be ready. The audience is sitting in front of you. The lights are on. The performance is happening live. There is no editing. There is no, let's do that scene again. You have to deliver. And Maya did. Her Broadway experience eventually led to another major opportunity. And Juliet. Maya Boyd became the Broadway replacement for the role of Juliet, beginning performances on May 14, 2024. And this was a major step forward. Suddenly, Maya was not simply part of an ensemble. She was playing the title character. She was carrying a major Broadway production. And that meant audiences had the opportunity to see her as a leading performer. Her role as Juliet was especially interesting because Juliet takes Shakespeare's famous story and gives it a modern musical approach. Instead of simply asking what happened to Juliet in the traditional story, the musical asks a different question. What happens if Juliet gets to decide what comes next? What happens if she chooses her own future? That idea of independence and strength is interesting when we look at Maya's career today. Because now she is moving from Juliet to Storm. From Shakespeare-inspired musical theater to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is a very different world. But there is one thing they have in common. Both require a performer who can command attention. Maya's Broadway journey did not happen overnight. It was built through education, training, auditions, rehearsals, live performances, and learning how to work under pressure. And that is probably one of the most important things to understand about her career. When people see the Marvel announcement today, it can look like Maya suddenly became a superhero actress. But the preparation started years ago. The Marvel role is new. The training is not. And now, everything she learned on the stage is about to be tested on a much bigger screen. Because Storm is not an ordinary character. Storm has a huge history. She is one of the most recognizable women in the X-Men universe. She is powerful, intelligent, independent, and often a leader. And that creates a huge challenge for any actress. You cannot simply wear a superhero costume and expect the audience to believe you are Storm. You have to create Ororo Munroe. You have to make the character feel human. You have to make the audience understand her strength. And you have to make them care about her. That is where Maya's theater background could become very important. But there is still a much bigger question. Why did Marvel choose Maya Boyd? What did the casting team see in her? And what kind of Storm will she become? To understand that, we need to look at the character she is about to play. Storm is not just another member of the X-Men. She is one of the most iconic mutants in Marvel history. Her real name is Ororo Munroe. And over the years, she has become known not only because of her incredible powers, but because of her personality. Storm is often portrayed as calm, intelligent, confident, and extremely powerful. Her abilities are connected to the weather. She can manipulate atmospheric conditions and create powerful effects involving wind, lightning, rain, and storms. But what makes Storm interesting is that her power is only one part of her character. She is also a leader. She has been placed in situations where other characters depend on her. She has had to make difficult decisions. And she has often been portrayed as someone who can remain composed even when everything around her is falling apart. That means Maya Boyd has a lot to work with. And she also has a very interesting advantage. She comes from live theater. A theater performer learns how to communicate without relying completely on close-up camera shots. They learn how to use their voice. They learn how to use their body. They learn how to hold an audience's attention. And they learn how to stay in character even when something unexpected happens. Those skills can be extremely useful for a superhero movie. But Maya's career did not stop with Juliet. Her Broadway credits continue to grow. In 2026, she appeared in the Broadway revival of Joe Turner's Come and Gone, playing Molly Cunningham. So even before today's Marvel announcement, Maya was still actively building her theater career. That is important because it shows that Marvel did not pick someone who had simply disappeared from the industry and suddenly returned. They picked a performer who had continued working, continued learning, continued performing, and continued developing her craft. Then came August 15, 2026. D23. For Marvel fans, this was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Marvel Studios officially revealed the cast of the upcoming X-Men movie. The cast includes Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, Kit Connor as Cyclops, Christopher Abbott as Professor X, Inde Navarrette as Rogue, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, and Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. And among them, Maya Boyd as Storm. Just imagine how quickly everything changed. One moment, Maya was known mainly to Broadway audiences. The next moment, her name was being discussed by millions of Marvel fans around the world. And this is one of those moments that can completely change an actor's career. Because Marvel is not a small franchise. The X-Men are not a small group of characters. These characters have been part of popular culture for decades. There have already been multiple X-Men movies. There have already been different actors playing these characters. And fans already have strong ideas about what these characters should look like and feel like. So Maya is entering a role that comes with expectations. Very high expectations. Some fans will compare her with previous versions of Storm. Some will compare her appearance. Some will compare her acting. Some will ask whether she has the same presence. And some fans will simply be excited to see a new interpretation. That is the challenge of playing an iconic character. You are not starting from zero. The audience already knows the character. But that can also be an opportunity. Because Maya does not have to copy anyone. She can create her own version. And that may be exactly what Marvel wants. This new X-Men movie is expected to introduce a new generation of mutants into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film will be directed by Jake Schreier, who previously directed Thunderbolts. The script is being written by Lee Sung-jin and Joanna Kahlo. And Marvel has scheduled the movie for theatrical release on May 5, 2028. That gives Maya plenty of time to prepare. And preparation will be important. Because playing Storm may require much more than learning lines. There could be physical training. There could be stunt training. There could be fight choreography. There could be extensive costume work. And, of course, there will be visual effects. But perhaps the most important challenge will be emotional. Storm needs to feel like a person before she feels like a superhero. The audience needs to understand who Ororo is. What does she believe? What does she fear? What does she want? What makes her angry? What makes her compassionate? And why does she choose to fight? Those questions can turn a superhero character into a memorable character. And Maya's theater background could help here. Remember, she has already worked in productions where character development and storytelling were central to the performance. Her experience as a swing in Merrily We Roll Along also required her to learn multiple roles and adapt quickly. That kind of discipline can be valuable when working on a large movie production. But there is another reason Maya's casting is getting so much attention. She is relatively new to mainstream movie audiences. And that makes her casting feel like a discovery. Marvel has done this before. Sometimes, a major franchise gives an actor an opportunity before the wider audience fully knows them. Then the role becomes a turning point. The actor becomes associated with the character. And suddenly, people begin looking backward. They start asking, where did this actor come from? What else have they done? How long have they been working? And that is exactly what is happening with Maya Boyd today. People are discovering her Broadway history. They are discovering and Juliet. They are discovering Merrily We Roll Along. And they are discovering that the new Storm did not appear out of nowhere. There was a journey before Marvel. There was training before the superhero costume. There were stages before the movie screen. And there were years of work before the big announcement. That is what makes Maya Boyd's story so interesting. But there is still one question that every Marvel fan is asking. What will Maya Boyd's Storm actually look like? We have to wait for the movie. But there are already some things we can say about why this casting could be a very interesting choice. When Marvel announces a new actor for an iconic character, fans immediately start imagining the future. And with Maya Boyd as Storm, that future could be very interesting. Because Storm has the potential to become much more than a supporting character. She could become one of the major faces of the new X-Men era. Think about the character's abilities. Storm can control weather. That gives Marvel enormous visual possibilities. Imagine seeing her create powerful winds on a massive movie screen. Imagine lightning appearing around her. Imagine the atmosphere changing when she loses control of her emotions. But the best superhero scenes are not powerful simply because they look expensive. They work because the audience understands what the character is feeling. If Storm is angry, the weather can become part of that emotion. If she is afraid, the audience can feel the tension. If she is confident, her powers can become an extension of her personality. That is why the actress matters so much. And this is where Maya Boyd's performance will be closely watched. Fans are going to want to see what she brings to Ororo Munroe. Not what someone else brought. Not what an older version of the character looked like. But what Maya Boyd brings. Her Broadway background gives her an interesting foundation. She has already performed in front of live audiences. She has already carried a major role. She has already worked in demanding productions. And she has experience adapting to different characters and performance situations. In Merrily We Roll Along, she had to manage multiple tracks and understudy responsibilities. That experience required preparation and flexibility. In Juliet, she stepped into the title role. And later, she appeared in Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Now she is moving into Marvel. That is a remarkable progression. Broadway. Then another Broadway leading role. Then another major theater production. And now, the X-Men. It is also worth remembering that this is not the end of Maya's journey. It is the beginning of a much bigger chapter. The movie is scheduled for 2028. That means fans will have plenty of time to talk about the casting. There will be theories. There will be fan art. There will be debates. There will be questions about the story. And eventually, there will be trailers. Then posters. Then interviews. Then promotional events. And finally, we will see Maya Boyd as Storm. Until then, almost everything is speculation. We should not pretend to know exactly what Marvel is planning. We do not know how much screen time Storm will receive. We do not know the complete story. We do not know how her powers will be presented. And we do not know exactly how her relationship with the other X-Men will develop. But we do know the foundation. Marvel has officially chosen Maya Boyd. And that decision has already changed the direction of her career. For years, her world was Broadway. Now her name is connected with one of the biggest superhero franchises in the world. And there is something inspiring about that transition. Because Maya's story is a reminder that careers do not always move in a straight line. Sometimes your preparation happens in a place that looks completely unrelated to your final destination. Maya was learning musical theater. She was learning dance. She was learning acting. She was performing live. She was understudying. She was taking on demanding roles. And all of those experiences were building something. Maybe not specifically for Storm. But for the moment when a much bigger opportunity arrived. And now that opportunity has arrived. This is also why her Broadway background makes the casting more exciting. Storm needs more than superhero action. She needs personality. She needs confidence. She needs emotional control. She needs a strong physical presence. And she needs to make audiences believe that she belongs among the X-Men. Maya has already spent years learning how to command attention on stage. Now she gets to do it on a completely different scale. And there is another interesting detail. Marvel's new X-Men movie is not simply bringing back the same old team. It is introducing a new generation. Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. Kit Connor as Cyclops. Maya Boyd as Storm. Inde Navarrette as Rogue. Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. Christopher Abbott as Professor X. And Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. This is a completely new combination of actors and characters for the MCU. That means Maya will not be entering an already established team. She will be helping create the identity of a new one. And that is a huge responsibility. But it is also a huge opportunity. If this version of the X-Men becomes successful, audiences may remember Maya Boyd's Storm for years. Young Marvel fans may grow up watching her version of the character. Her performance could become the version that a new generation associates with Storm. And that is why today's announcement matters. It is not simply another casting announcement. It is the beginning of a new chapter. A Broadway performer has just been handed the opportunity to become one of Marvel's most powerful mutants. From Merrily We Roll Along. To And Juliet. To Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And now. Storm. Maya Boyd's journey is moving from the theater stage to the biggest superhero universe in the world. And honestly, we have not even seen the most exciting part yet. Because the real test will come when she finally appears on screen. Will she become the Storm fans already know? Or will she create a completely new version? Will her theater experience give the character something different? Will Maya Boyd become one of the breakout stars of the new X-Men era? We will have to wait. But one thing is already clear. Her journey did not begin with Marvel. Marvel is simply the next chapter. The hard work started much earlier. The training started much earlier. The Broadway stage came first. And now, the storm is coming. Thank you for watching the English Academy. If you enjoyed this video and want more easy English videos about real people, trending topics, movies, and popular culture, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the English Academy, and turn on the notification bell. And remember, sometimes the biggest opportunities come after years of preparation that nobody sees. Maya Boyd's story is just beginning.